Hello and welcome to Get It Rolling. Today you will learn about conditions, functions, list comprehension and modules in Python. Let's begin with conditions. Python uses Boolean variables to evaluate the conditions. Boolean can have only two values, either true or false. Let me demonstrate that in a Python console. True with the T caps and false with the F caps. There are many conditional operators and one of them is double equal sign, which checks whether both the left hand side as well as right hand side are equal. So it says true, and if I put a different number it should say false. I've written a small snippet. I'll run the code. So this piece of code is going to be executed, and comments in Python are started with a hash in the beginning. There is no multi-line comment as such, so you have to start all the lines with a hash if you want to comment in a different multiple lines. So x double equal to true, written true, x double equal to 3, written false, and x is less than 3 has written true. There are also Boolean operators like AND and OR. Let me demonstrate. If you want to combine two conditions, for example 4 double equal to 4 and 5 not equal to 10, so the response should be true. So this is how you can do. You can also use OR operation. This is true. In Python we can use if conditions to check conditions. So the syntax goes this way: if keyword followed by the condition, a colon, and then you have to indent the code. That is, your block of code goes inside this particular part. In Python there are no brackets to specify the code, but rather indentation is done. Name is double equal to John, which is true, and age is also 23, and it has evaluated this particular sentence. You can add an else statement which executes if the condition is false. Now let me just change so that it evaluates to false. You can see the condition is false. There is this useful in operator which could be used to check if a specified object exists within an iterable. I'm going to demonstrate using this list which has two strings, John and Rick. So name is equal to John and it is in Rick. So your name is either John or Rick. If I change the name to Dallin and it is not in the list, it's going to return, basically it's not going to execute. So what can you do if the condition fails and you want to print something? So you can use the else part of it. And write whatever you want in this code block. If I execute this, it says hello Dallin because it has gone to else part since the if part has failed. Now if you have multiple conditions, then you can use elif and you can check if name in, I'll pass a different list. I found you in elif. The output is I found you in elif. Moving on to functions. Functions are a very convenient way to divide your code or segment your code into useful blocks. That way you can reuse the code, and also you should note that how we used if block, we can use this function block the similar way, that is through indentation. So define your function name and then open and close parenthesis. This is the syntax for function in Python. And then you can indent. You can also put multiple lines. Let's say you want another print statement which just says hi. And to call a function, you just call the function name followed by parenthesis. Here is the output. Make sure that the signature has to be the same when you call the function. Otherwise, it's going to throw an error. Let me demonstrate that. It is throwing an error, and the traceback tells you that it takes exactly 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given. This function is not useful as such, which in many cases you need to pass the arguments. How to do that in Python? Let's check out. So you can just give the username as a variable, a greeting as a variable, and inside your function block you can use them like you would all normally use variables. And while calling the function, you have to pass exactly the same signature. I have passed username as Dallin and greeting as good morning. Let's see the output over here. Hello Dallin, from my function, I wish you good morning. I stress on the point that the indentation is the main thing in Python, because that is how you tell Python that this statements, whatever goes under the indented part, should go inside the function, my function, with arguments. So take care when you define functions as well as you indent a block. Make sure you indent it properly. The above functions were just printing out to the console. Now let's say you want to return something. In Python, if you wanted to add two numbers, you would normally do with the plus operator. Let's define a function for the same operation. Sum of two numbers a and b, and you can use this keyword return to return a value to whoever is calling the function. So in this case, sum of 2 is going to return a value and it's going to be stored in the result variable. I'm passing the parameters 3 and 5. So 3 plus 5 is 8 and the output is 8. I forgot to mention about is and not operators in Python. Is operator is used to match the instances of the variables and not the variables itself. Let me demonstrate. If you had to check if two lists are equal, you would use double equal to, which is going to check each list by each element and then tell you that it is equal. But if you wanted to see if both point to the same address space, you would use a is operator. So be careful with using is operator. So if I had to demonstrate the same using the console, X is having the list, Y is also having the list. If I do a ID of X, ID is basically tells you which address space it's going to use or it's using currently. So you can see that it's clearly two different address space, and if I do X is Y, it will return false. Be careful while using is because it can give unintended results. And this not operation is same like the Boolean operations which I have used earlier. It just inverts the Boolean operation that you have defined. In our case, if not false, should return as true. I can demonstrate it in the console as well. Not false. It's an inverted value of the Boolean operation. Now what are these modules in Python? So every file that you write in Python is a module. In function demo, we had written function sum of two numbers. Let's say I wanted to import this same sum of two numbers in one of the other modules. I would do import statement, which is used to import the modules, and you give the module name, which is func demo. And now if you want to use that particular function from that module, you have to give the function name dot sum of two numbers 1, 2. Maybe store the result, or you can also print the result. There are extra lines. You are expecting only the value to be 8, but there are other lines which are executed. When you're using a module or importing a module in Python, it basically executes all the lines. So since these lines are there in your file, they are going to be executed. So what you have to do is you write a if statement, _name. This tells Python that execute this file only if it's being called with the name as main. In our case, modules demo is importing the file funcdemo. So this name variable is going to have the value of funcdemo and not main. If I had to execute this particular file, it would have had name variable set to main. And now what we can do is put these values inside this if block. Again, it's indented. Let me delete this, or you can comment it out. Save it. Now run the modules demo. You see only the value 3 is written. Now what are packages? Packages are basically a namespace given to that particular module. So if you have a folder with all the Python files and you want to convert it into a package, you just add an _init.py file into this file and it can be empty. So what this tells Python that this particular folder is a Python package. And now you can use the same module import statements that you have been using to import other modules. You can also give name to this import as fd, call it with fd, or there is another import statement which is from this particular module import this particular function only. So in this case, Python is going to import only this particular function from that module, and you don't have to use this extra dot that you are using earlier. Moving on to slightly advanced topic, list comprehensions. So this is a very powerful tool if you are using it in a proper way. It is faster than looping through your iterables. So what is list comprehension? It can be demonstrated with this particular example. The problem statement here is to print out the length of each word and also check if the word is the, and if it's the, do not print those lengths. I'm achieving that with this statement on line number 10 and the iterable. So this is what it's being done. You can see the output on the left hand side of the console. This is neat, but it is lengthy. If I had to do the same thing using list comprehension, I would do it in a single statement. This is line number 16. Let me demonstrate line by line. So first what I would do is length equal to, it is a list. Now iterate words. How do you write it? For a word in words. So this will basically give me a single word. I have to put the word on the left side. So this will give me a list of words, right? And to check if the word is not equal to the, all I had to do is if word is not equal to the. Now if I print these lengths, sorry, I am supposed to write length of the word because that is what we are interested in. There you go, the same output, but you have reduced these lines, these extra steps into a single line and got the same result. Obviously, this is the more Pythonic way that you should follow. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Please do like, subscribe and share. And do let me know if you need any topic to be covered.